So it's been a couple of weeks, probably damn near a month, since I've done any type of commentary surrounding Jonathan Majors and the situation that he is in right now. And right now, I'm going to be quite honest with you, is not looking too good. Now, the last update we had was the release of those text messages that a lot of people were kind of side-eyeing of why his attorney would decide to release that ahead of this video that they said could have cleared his name. And people was like, that was not a good idea. That wasn't a good move. Even I said that wasn't the best move to make. And I think the next thing that involves him, as far as any legalities, is going to be next month when I believe he has his first court date surrounding the situation. So you're seeing a picture of obviously Jonathan Majors on the left. And on the right is an actor by the name of Damson Idris. Now, many people will know him from the show Snowfall as Franklin Saint. Now, I used to watch Snowfall, but I'm gonna be honest with you, after John Singleton passed, I fell off after like the second season. And I know that it's in its last season right now. It would be really hard for me to catch up. I would have to literally go back and watch a whole bunch of stuff just to, be caught up. By that time, the show will be off the air. But it is what it is. And the reason why I have both of their pictures up here is because what you're looking at on the right, or should I say who you're looking at on the right, could possibly end up being the replacement for Jonathan Majors. So based on some things that I did read, basically Damson Idris was almost pretty much, if you kind of look at it, in Marvel's back pocket to be Kang in case something happened. Because his name popped up immediately when all of this stuff started to happen. Like when they were asking us a possibility that if Jonathan Majors has to get recasted, who would recast him? And his name constantly came up. So it's almost like, did he audition for this part, but he lost it to Jonathan Majors? Or what was the case there? I would like to know the story behind that. But it's a strong possibility that if, and this is if, they have to replace Jonathan Majors as Kang the Conqueror, that this is the actor that they're going to go with. Now, my thing is this. Loki season 2 has been done filming for a while. As y'all know, for those who watched the show Loki on Disney Plus in the first season, we got introduced to He Who Remains, who was one of the variants. And it was played by Jonathan Majors. This was basically his introduction into the MCU. This was his debut. We already knew he had got the part as Kang the Conqueror way before that episode even aired, way before the show even aired. But we didn't know when he was going to come in, and it was always just a nice surprise to actually see him come into this particular role. And then we saw it, everybody went crazy because we knew what was coming next. Then he pops up as Kang the Conqueror in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And while Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was basically a financial failure, Jonathan Majors' role in the movie really stood out because that's just how phenomenal of an actor he is. And we're talking about a guy who was getting role after role after role. Like his career really shot up really, really fast. I've acknowledged that. Then he hit that bump in the road last month, shortly after Creed 3 comes out. And then his world just starts to crumble all around him. Now, a lot of people are saying, wow, Marvel moved pretty fast with the possibility of recasting him really, really early on, but they didn't want to recast T'Challa. I know that's something that really came up. And, at least with Jonathan Majors, with his recasting, it's not because of a death, it's because of a legal issue, most likely. But when it came to, Chadwick Boseman and his unfortunate demise, they didn't want to recast it, and he still has so many stories to tell. So I can almost imagine the think pieces that are going to come from this whole situation right here. And speaking of recasting, I know a lot of people are going to have something to say as it pertains to, of course, none other than Ezra Miller over at DC and him being the Flash. And I believe the next trailer for that movie is about to drop in a couple of weeks. And they're really hyping this up because of the direction that DC is going in. And a lot of people was like, well, Ezra Miller has gotten into so many legal issues and so many legal troubles over the last couple of years, and they still kept him on as the Flash, and one can argue and say that he's possibly the reason as to why the Flash movie kept getting all of these delays, because the Flash movie was supposed to come out years ago. Like, I think the Flash movie was supposed to originally come out maybe a year after the Justice League movie, which was in Justice League came out in 2017. So I believe it's supposed to come out in 2018. I believe they pushed that movie back about 5 times before they finally locked in with a date. So the footage that you'll see, if you choose to go and see that movie, is going to not be so much recent. This is going to be footage from like probably before the pandemic hit. They may have polished it a little bit, but you're looking at a couple years worth of footage that's looking like it was shot within the last year. So a lot of people was questioning that. So, so you're going to be quick to recast him because of one incident, possibly. And it's all alleged. Remember, this is all alleged of this happening. Nothing has been set in stone that he's going to get recast. But they're saying if he does, Damson Idris will be the next best pick. But back to Ezra Miller, they said he did all of this stuff, but you still kept him on. Remember what I told y'all? He's protected by the Trinity, PC, Academy, them folks. He's considered Teflon Don. Jonathan Majors does not fall into any of those categories. So he's left wide open for attack. But it's very interesting, though, because they're quick with the possibilities and rumors of him being replaced and being recast. And there has not been any resolve around this situation. And it's crazy because if you remember, Disney made that same mistake when it came to Johnny Depp. You know, they were quick to let him go as Captain Jack Sparrow, and he'd been carrying that Pirates of the Caribbean franchise on his back for well over a decade. Now, I never watched any Pirates movie because that wasn't really my cup of tea. But to those who did watch it, they said that they thoroughly enjoyed it. But that just wasn't something that I was entertained by, but it did wonders for Johnny Depp's already expansive career. He was already well established before, but this movie really shot him up to superstardom. And then when they said that, people was like, oh, we're not going to go and support the next movie. They started panicking because, you know, they had the trial last year and, you know, he was pretty much vindicated from the whole situation. And then Disney came crawling back on their ashy little knees trying to see if they can get Johnny Depp back. I said, if I was Johnny Depp after the way that you treated me and you didn't want to hear the facts first, no, you're on your own. So basically, they're going to crash and burn one of their biggest, longest running franchises. I just hope they don't do the same thing with Jonathan Majors. I always say just wait until the facts come out and then decide to make a move. I know they're doing it because it's a business move, especially marketing, because he's supposed to be the face, like the new primary face, like how Thanos was the primary villain face of the first 3 phases of Marvel. But they don't, and they're trying to say, you know what, we don't want this to be a stain, you know, for us, especially since the MCU is going through some stuff right now as it is. And they don't want this still to be attached to them. And I was reading some other stuff where they said they don't want to have a situation where people are starting to look at them side eye, like how people was looking at DC side eye by keeping Ezra Miller on as the Flash for almost being him. Well, his situation was way worse in my honest opinion, but it still involved assaults. So it's a lot of moving parts with this situation. Now, like I said, Damson Idris is a pretty decent actor. I wouldn't put him on the scale as a Jonathan Majors, but if he does get the part, he's going to have to really kill it because, like I said, a lot of people don't know him. Many people in the black community who watch Snowfall knows who he is, but he's going to have to prove himself on a bigger level, and he's going to have some big shoes to fill because, like I said, Jonathan Majors did a pretty damn good job as Kang the Conqueror in Ant-Man, even though the movie was a box office flop. I can always acknowledge a good performance. A good performance is a good performance, even in a movie that's horrible or mediocre. So he's really going to have to sell it. And if he does say hypothetically gets recast, that means they're going to have to do a lot of reshoots for Loki season 2, because if you saw the end credit scene for Ant-Man Quantumania, one of Kang's variants is in that season. We saw him. His name is Victor Timely. And Jonathan Majors was there in that role. And that shows up in the second season of Loki, which they said is slated to come out sometime this summer or maybe early fall or somewhere around that time. I think it's going to come out after Secret Invasion, and Secret Invasion starts in June, and then Loki season 2 comes after it. So I don't know what they're going to do. They're in a tied up situation right now. They are in a bind. All I can say is I'm glad I'm not Kevin Feige. I'm glad I'm not in his shoes, because I know he's probably being stressed the hell out right now as it is when it comes to this particular situation. But that's pretty much all I have as it pertains to this update concerning this. But y'all let me know if Jonathan Majors, first off, do you think Jonathan Majors is going to get recast? Do you think he'll get recast or get replaced? Do you think he's out of the role of Kang the Conqueror? And if he is out, are you willing to be okay with Damson Idris being his replacement? Because right now he's the top pick as a replacement. I haven't seen them say anybody else. Like every article that I've come across, his face was attached to that article. I had to come in and add this part because this actually just came up maybe like a couple hours ago. Like, it's breaking news. This is hours after I recorded the first part of this, but I had to add this in here. And this is from Deadline. It says Jonathan Majors and manager Entertainment 360 part ways, actor facing domestic violence allegations in New York City. And so he literally just got dropped by his, like it says, by his entertainment manager. I mean, his manager. I believe his PR people. He was also, when I was reading more into it, he was supposed to attend the Met Gala this year, which usually is always hosted in May. They've already rescinded their invitation to his, so he's not attending that. So everything is really just crumbling right now against him because of allegations, not charges, allegations. We keep trying to tell people who are black, and if you are in Hollywood, if your stuff ain't on point, they gonna get you one way or another. And like I said, this guy was shooting up really, really, really fast, so they about to bring him down really even more faster. And I believe there's some other things as well that he's slowly losing right now. This is only the beginning for him. This is only the beginning of his decline. I don't know what I don't know what he and his team, or whatever's left of his team, is going to have to pull a rabbit out of their hat in order to make this be a turnaround for him, because it's not looking good at all. And remember, in the first part of this video, before this update I gave, the court date is in May. So it's actually coming up right now. I don't know what him and his legal team are going to have to do, but something's going to have to happen, because right now he's losing deal after deal after deal. It's like as fast as he was getting things, the faster it's getting snatched away from you. This is exactly why I had said I don't think I could ever try to get my way into Hollywood, if I wanted to, be a part of this kind of industry, because look at the stuff that he has to go through, and you gotta walk on eggshells. He's literally an example of one of many examples of what can happen to you just off of an allegation. He better hope that they can prove without the shadow of a doubt that this was completely blown out of proportion, and they don't lean in the side of what needs to be seen as his ex-girlfriend. Because if they go with her story and they believe her, him getting dropped from this is only the beginning. Like, they might actually have to dig a ditch 6 feet and dump his career in there, cover it back up with dirt, put a tombstone on it, and let that thing rest. This is going to be hard for him to climb out of. Like, really hard to climb out of. They are burying him right now. But with this new update, I want y'all to tell me what y'all think about this down in the comment section when it came to the possibility of a recast for this role.